But in my case, my attorney is the one who told me to be quiet about my situation because we didn't want to upset the judge.
It's hard to imagine this is how 2020 started. But across the world, dozens were falling ill with a mysterious virus that would ultimately change life as we know it.
Chinese health authorities are still working to identify the virus behind a pneumonia outbreak in the central city of Wuhan.
At least 59 people are believed to have been sickened by the new virus.
Tonight, U.S. airports on high alert, screening passengers for symptoms of a deadly
will be 3 days a week, limited at 10 minutes. Okay, so you can pick
is that standard for an infant?
Yeah, that's pretty standard.
Okay. My sole reason for coming to Florida was because my husband at the time's sister was having some difficulties with drug addiction, and she was pregnant with her second child, and she wanted to keep her baby. So for me, when the tribe called, I answered. I uprooted my entire life to come down here to fight for my sister-in-law's child. Shortly after I moved, I found out I was pregnant with my own baby. But that didn't stop me from fighting for a child that wasn't mine, because she was my family. The child was born early and was immediately taken by Child Protective Services. I fought for that little girl for almost a year. In the meantime, I had my own beautiful baby. I had Tegan on St. Patrick's Day, 2019, 6 pounds, 14 ounces at 8:07 in the morning. I was a first-time mom. I had my baby while married. We did everything that we could. I breastfed my baby, which was the hardest thing I could have ever did, but I knew that was best for her. I always tried to do what was best, and that meant fighting for my husband's niece. When we finally got custody of his niece, she just started getting sick. We went to the doctor. We took her to the doctor emergency room 3 times in a month and got no answers from anybody. And I watched that little girl deteriorate in front of me. And doctors told me there was nothing wrong with her. Meanwhile, I'm still taking care of my own baby. But I'm making her a priority too, because I loved her just the same. At the time, I chose to work overnight so that I could spend every second in the morning time with those kids, because it meant everything to me. And December 6th, 2019, his niece was rushed to the hospital and she suffered a brain bleed. And my world at that point came crashing down because I didn't know. I had just got off work and all I know that she was still sick. They deemed it as abuse without anything. The police came and questioned me. They asked me over and over again. I couldn't tell them anything. I wasn't home. I didn't know. I couldn't tell them. And that wasn't good enough for them. They questioned me, or interviewed me as they said, for 13 hours straight. They wouldn't let me breastfeed my baby. They wouldn't let me pump. They wouldn't let me go to the bathroom. And they kept asking me the same 2 questions over and over again. And I couldn't tell them what they wanted. If I could have, I would have. They finally came to my residence, because at the time during my questioning, I was at the hospital with that very niece. And by this time, I had been up awake for 36 hours. I was so tired. But I gave them everything they needed because I wanted to help that little girl land in the hospital. They came to my house and made me submit to a random drug test, which I passed. I don't do anything. I went to school in Alabama. I went to Alabama A&M University and got my BS in chemistry. And then I went to Howard University and studied chemical engineering. And in Florida, working on my master's in pharmaceutical science. I've never done anything. All I wanted to do was help my family. And I never thought that helping somebody would cause me to lose my own. The CPI investigators took my daughter from me and told me they had to because they didn't know how she was going to be safe in a house because I couldn't give them the answers to the questions that they wanted. They took my baby from me at 3 in the morning on December 7th. They told me they would be taking her to a family member. And after I put my daughter in their car, they just took her away. She never made it to family. I didn't know what my daughter was for 3 days. She was only 9 months, and when I saw her, she had a bruise on her cheekbone, and nobody could tell me how she got it. Her face was swollen, and they said that because she was crying so much, they thought something was mentally wrong with her. They did 3 physical exams.